I think for us, as we kind of look in the leaders in our lives, is we need to ask this first question of when we are looking at people is, what am I trying to get from that person? Am I getting knowledge? Am I getting disciplines? Am I getting expertise? Or am I trying to get self-worth? Am I trying to get some sort of hack that's going to save my life? Something that I think is going to fix me? Because if you're trying to get another person to fix you, then you're looking to them for the wrong things. Welcome to this week's episode of Ask the Pastor. This is our weekly segment where we give you an opportunity to ask us questions about our Sunday sermons and go into a little more depth, ask how can we apply this, maybe learn more about the passage and what this means for our lives. This week we're in Hebrews chapter 3, and in this passage, it introduces, again, this character of Moses, as the writer of Hebrews has just been showing systematically how Jesus is superior, how he was greater than all these things in our lives, than the angels, than our traditions and our histories and our spiritual drift. And today, it goes after this character of Moses. And Moses in the Old Testament was a huge deal. He was a hero of the faith. He was the first prophet of Israel. He was the greatest prophet. He helped bring them into a nation of Israel. He was the lawgiver. He had this just mystique and this aura about him. And it raised up this kind of idea that Jesus is greater than Moses, but he's greater than all of the heroes we might have in our life. And as we dive into this topic, I think a few practical questions are asked, and I think that we can look up into and reflect on a little bit. First, I want to start with this, is can we look up to people in our lives? Is it okay to have people that we're placing in kind of a position where we are looking up to them, that they're almost like a hero in our life, and we're maybe striving to be like? And I'd say on the basic answer would be yes. It's great to have people you're looking to. It's great to be that people that maybe you're mimicking, you're trying to learn from, you're trying to run after. But there becomes this difference of what are you asking that person to do for you? Are you asking them to teach you so that you can mimic traits of them, that you can maybe have behaviors or disciplines that you can learn from? Or are you asking them to fill a void maybe that they cannot? The people of Israel, when they looked to Moses as their hero, Moses was a great leader. God spoke through him, but Moses could not save them. Moses could not rescue them from their sin. He couldn't do everything for their lives. He couldn't set them free even from Egypt. Only God could do those things. I think for us, as we look in the leaders in our lives, is we need to ask this first question of when we are looking at people is, what am I trying to get from that person? Am I getting knowledge? Am I getting disciplines? Am I getting expertise? Or am I trying to get self-worth? Am I trying to get some sort of hack that's going to save my life? Something that I think is going to fix me? Because if you're trying to get another person to fix you, then you're looking to them for the wrong things. Which here's a little kind of side, I think, to add to this. We talk about this within a Christian context, because a lot of times when we think of people we look up to, you might think of disciples or mentors, like people who are discipling you or helping you grow in your faith. But I think this is an appropriate question to ask. Is it okay to look up to people who don't follow Jesus? Can we learn from people who maybe are outside of the faith, who don't profess Jesus as Lord? Is it okay to look up to them, maybe to respect them and to learn from them? And I would say on the basic answer is yes, but again, there's some nuance here. I'm a firm believer. I do a lot of reading, do a lot of listening, do a lot of trying to learn in different ways. And I go through seasons of different kind of books. I try to vary my books a lot. This current year, I'm trying to go through a book a week, which is stretching me personally. Some people that's really hard for, some people that's really easy for. But in this journey, I've been trying to take a wide range of books. But sometimes I get burned out from just reading, quote unquote, Christian books. And I found from a lot of different secular authors and secular books that there's so much to be learned there. But here's what I filter it through. Is as I'm learning from that person, there's truth that they might be imparting, and maybe it's even some common grace truths that they don't even understand. There's so many secular books that are just proverbs that are wrapped up in a worldly form. But as I'm reading those, what I have to call myself to them is, am I reading it through a biblical worldview? Or am I letting their maybe secular or whatever worldview they have, am I letting it infect myself? And that's the line I think we need to be careful with as we're looking to people who might be outside of our faith. Is it making our faith stronger because we're hearing different viewpoints and then we're filtering it through a Christ lens and we're seeing how that Christ is still glorified and Christ is still greater than it? Or is it causing us to question our faith, causing us to have doubt in our faith and put the Bible in a lower view in our eyes? And if that's the case, then I think there are times that we need to stop and we need to reevaluate where we are with our faith. And those are the times I think you need to have strong people around you who can help point you in the right direction. But I think this, which kind of leads into this last question, is how do we find this boundary? And it's worded this way: is when does admiring or looking up to someone turn into elevating or worshiping them? And how do I know I'm doing it? Here's where I would say is heroes and heroes worship is a hard thing that you don't want to fall into. And I would say our hero ultimately is Jesus Christ. There might be small heroes we have in our everyday life, right? If a firefighter rescues you from a fire, they are that hero in that situation. They literally saved you from something. But when you look at your life as a whole, when you're asking, how are people saving me from my emotional health, from my social health? How are people saving me on the direction I'm going in my life? How is someone saving me in my spiritual life from our sin? There's only one person that can do that, and that's Jesus Christ. And it goes back to this idea of we can look up to someone, we can admire, we can appreciate what they are doing. But if we are looking for them to provide some sort of heroic saving in our life, and what we would say in the Bible circles is salvation, then we're looking to them for the wrong things. And whether they are Moses or David or Solomon or Peter or Paul, some of the amazing, what we would almost call heroes of the faith, is all those they pale in comparison to Christ. And even Paul, I think he gives the best lens to look through this, is he tells Timothy, he tells all these young men that he is ministering to, these people and these church leaders, these pastors that he is bringing along. He says, follow me. He says, admire the path I'm taking. See the fruit of my life. See how I'm walking. Learn these disciplines. Learn how to do this. But he says, follow me as I follow Christ. And whoever that mentor is in your life, maybe whoever's discipling you, whoever you're finding inspiration from, that's great. Learn from them. See the disciplines they have, but ultimately, don't put them on a pedestal where you're asking to be saved by them in a way that only Christ can save you. Hey, thank you guys for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.